What's going on YouTube? Q back here again with another video for you. Today's video, I'm about to go over the 3-month overview of my 2021 M2 Competition. So if this is your first time viewing the channel, I did not buy this car new. Obviously I got 35,000 miles on here. I bought it with like 32,000 miles and I took delivery of it in February of this year. So this is my 3rd month of ownership on it, so I'm about to go over the things that I've experienced with it and how I'm liking it so far. So I haven't put as many miles on it as I'd like to because the weather took a long time to break here, and then I have my Integra, which is the car that I'm putting the miles on. I put about 1,000 miles on the Integra just last week alone, so the M2 just kind of sits there when I'm not making videos or just going on my little spirited drive. So about to start getting this thing on the road really soon. I'm going to the track in a couple of weeks to see how this thing performs, and I'll go over my plans that I do have with the car and my overall experience with it. So sit back, buckle up, and let's get into it. So I think I stumbled upon a bird mating ground because these birds are going nuts out here. They are very loud, so pardon my birdie friends, but we're about to get into this. So I got to put this out here about the M2. Out of all the cars that I have driven, owned or not, this is one of the most fun cars that I have ever driven. And I think I will put it at the top 1 for the most fun car that I have ever owned. And as far as cars that I recently reviewed, there's only a couple other cars that I would put in this realm, like the BRZ and the GR86. Those cars are very, very fun to me. And this M2 is up there with those two. So the M2 is in the top echelon of fun cars for me. And I already put my spiel out there about what I like in the car. Like cars with too much horsepower, it just doesn't do it for me anymore. I thought I would like it, but after a Hellcat and a ZL1, that's just not what I like in my cars. So this M2 is a great all-arounder. Been having a good time with it so far, and just driving it. I'm learning how to do my hood rat stuff in this car. So drifting things, donuts. I did my first ever official donut on dry pavement in this M2, and I'm learning how to drift. I'm driving with traction control off, just getting better to learn how to drive a car like this at its limits. Because it's easy to drive a car with 400 horsepower at a limit as opposed to a car with 650 horsepower or 707 horsepower if you get my drift. No pun intended. But back to the M2. So a couple things that I had done to the car so far. It's technically 3 things, but I have done a mid pipe upgrade on it. So took off the stock stuff and went to MRT. They made a custom mid pipe for me. So I got like a single, it goes from the headers to one big single mid pipe, and then it goes back out to the 2 stock exhaust in the back. Another thing that I did do is turn off auto rev match. I still haven't got a chance to go through Beamer code to see what I need to do and what I don't need to do, but auto rev match, have to turn that crap off. I hate that in the car. I'm learning how to drive the car. A car as mechanical as this, I want to learn how to do all that stuff myself, so that was turned off. And the most obvious thing, the wrap. So this car is Alpine white in stock form, but this is my custom wrap, and go ahead and check out that video. It's a wrap on my M2. Play on words, y'all know how I gotta be, because YouTube don't be promoting the M2 like it does my other cars. So I don't know what you got against my M2, YouTube. It's not my subscribers, but it's YouTube. It doesn't push the M2. But it's crazy because this is like my favorite car that I have owned so far. It could be this or the SS1 LE, but this is a very awesome car, man. And yeah, I got to get the door handles done, put my order in for it. So this will be getting the gradient green to match the wrap in the background. So I spoke about the fun of this car. Let's talk about the efficiency. I'm going to kind of gloss over that. It's way more efficient than my V8 muscle cars. Doesn't have the rumble of a V8, but it does have some of the characteristics of a V8 when it comes to exhaust. It does the pops and crackles like the Camaro SS. GT350 somewhat. The GT350 was a little bit more tricky to do, but this car does that as well in stock form, so it sounds good, especially with my upgraded mid pipe on here. And the gas mileage on here, I'm getting, like right now I'm sitting at like 21 miles a gallon, which is great compared to my ZL1, which I would get like 14 on average. SS1 LE would do like 16, the Mustang was like 14. So this car is very fuel efficient compared to those other cars. It ain't on the level of my Integra, but the best of this car and the Integra's worst are quite similar. And this car handles amazing. It does have some steering feel. I know people say BMWs don't have steering feel. I think this car does have a steering feel, and you see what kind of cars I have owned in the past, so that's just my personal take on it, to have owned all those cars and compare it to this. So it does have a steering feel. And to be honest, once you start driving cars like this, there's some differences, but it's kind of the same recipe. When you got a great car, they're pretty similar, but the power delivery and certain characteristics change up just a little bit, but this has that same recipe. So getting used to this BMW was kind of tricky at first because it's way different from any other car, especially the iDrive and how small the screen is. Still don't like that, but I got used to it, and that's a good thing. Like when you press the button and open the door, like the car still is on. I got used to that, and I actually prefer that more than I do like when I open the car and open the car door, the radio turns off. I prefer that my music still plays when I'm getting out the car, because I can jam outside the car until I press the lock button. Shout out to the viewer that told me that tip to where the radio turns off when you lock the doors. I've been doing that ever since, man. And getting used to iDrive, like going back and forth between the M2 and the Integra, I prefer not to touch the screen. Like having iDrive, I get to keep my hands like near the shifter, so it helps me be a safer driver in regards to that. And it's once you get used to it, it's all good. Like it's a good system. So I can see what they were doing. Like at first I was like, why is this here? I don't like it. But now that I'm used to it, I kind of exclusively use it. Like I rarely use the touchscreen. I just use the iDrive commands because it's so intuitive. The connectivity of it is really fast. I'm a huge Apple CarPlay fan. Like I worked in infotainment for a lot of my career, like the last decade in infotainment, and this is a really good infotainment system. I've only seen like maybe one time it didn't connect as soon as the car started up, and this thing connects super duper fast. I like that aspect of it, where as soon as the screen is up and running, like my phone is connected. I love that part about this car, and I don't recall running into any crashes with the system. It's always working, and that's something that's rare, because working on these things, I've seen a lot of things that crash. I know how to make certain radios crash, and some just crash frequently. Like my Integra is not the best. The Camaro was pretty good. The Mustang, I saw like some hard resets from time to time. Shout out to the Men of Cultures. We got 100 Gang Nate that just took delivery of a Honda Civic Type R. Congrats to you, brother, on that new vehicle. And we also got Race Car Friends and Blueprint 1LE. They're doing their thing. So I was speaking to Hot 1LE earlier, and we were talking cars. We sometimes talk cars, man. That's another brother too. Brother from another mother. But Hot 1LE, he's in the market for a car, and it kind of sucks at this time right now. Because if you don't know, the M2 wasn't my first choice. I was looking for a Supra. Couldn't find a Supra. This is like the brother of the Supra. Ended up with an M2. And I looked at an M3 as well. But the M2 was more obtainable to me. Easier to find. And I got this one for a good deal. So me and Hot 1LE were talking about the maintenance of a car. And BMWs generally have high maintenance costs, and they tend to need more things than others, and they're more expensive to repair. They can be reliable depending on what you got, but this car has the bread and butter of a BMW with the inline 6, and it's got the twin turbos on here. So this should be pretty reliable, and I'm under warranty too. So I haven't seen the dealership yet, but from what I'm reading on the BMW app that I do have, I get like free maintenance. They say they'll even replace a clutch under their warranty. I'm like, nobody ever replaces clutches. That's always like a wear and tear item, and it's always the customer's fault. And hopefully that never happens to me where I need to replace my clutch that soon. But if something should happen, hopefully BMW keeps up their end of the bargain. And I'm hearing the maintenance is free too. But like I said, I haven't gone to the dealership yet, and I found out I got like 5 years plus too. Like I got like an upgraded warranty from the last owner. Thank you. But we talk about some more things about the car. So like I said, the exhaust note, that is it's an inline 6, so it's not the same as a V8. So like I said, it has the characteristics, but it doesn't have the deep roar. It has a sound, but I don't know if I want to modify. Like, I'm not straight piping this thing. I don't like the way that sounds. But mods that I am interested in getting, the downpipes. But I'm not well versed on downpipes. I'm gonna need y'all help on those. Because from what I've seen, like the check engine light is on with the downpipes. I don't like any lights on, any of those warning lights on my instrument cluster. Like even the tire pressure sensor, that bothers me. And that's happened like 3 times so far. Like my tires were low and needed more air. So I don't want to see a check engine light on this car. Because there's something, like if a BMW does happen to pop out of here, like the what people say how BMWs actually are, and my engine is bad, but I already got the check engine light for not having downpipes or the sensor that goes into the downpipes. I need to know what's going on with my car. So y'all let me know if y'all got one of these. What do you do with the downpipes? Like, is there a way to like just bypass that, or what? Do you got to get catted downpipes? I don't know, because I hear that's a good mod to have on these, and it'll bring even more character out and a better driving experience. So I want to know. So let me know. Other than that, this is a great car to have. I could work with this car as being my only car because it's large enough on the interior for me to carry my family in. Is that the best thing to do? No, but I can, and everybody fits comfortably, so that's another plus to it. So with this secondary car, so this is the fun car, and this is the fun car. So I was planning on getting something very impractical, but waiting on the Supra, I would have been waiting for eternity or paying a huge markup. So I wasn't about that life, so got the M2 Competition, and no regrets yet. So the interior of the M2 is nothing to really write home about, but everything in here is solid. Like, not the shifter. The shifter. Leave something to be desired with the shifter. That thing is woo. Might need some upgrades to that part of this car, but everything else solid. And the interior is kind of plain, like everything is just black with like blue stitching, but everything looks as it should. No creaks, no rattles. Y'all know how BMWs are, like they're just solid built cars. Like everything feels solid. I love this chunky steering wheel, fits good in the hands, just a good driving position. I will say that I feel like I sit too high. Like I wish I could sit a little bit lower in here. That's about one of the few gripes that I do have about it, but nothing that's a deal breaker. So if you want a good value on a car, the M2, not even necessarily the M2 Competition, but the base M2. I haven't driven one of those. It's a different powertrain, but it's got the M55 instead of the S55. But if it's anything like this, it's a good car too. And you can get those for like between 35 and like low 40s. This car was like 50. You can get these for like mid-ish 50s, like 52 is the lowest I've seen, up to like 65 for this M2 Competition. Maybe that'll change since the new one came out, because that is what's happening right now. But those start at 63,000, and the fully optioned out one is going to run you like 73K. Sitting here editing the video, and I don't know what happened, but the driving portion got cut out, so not much I can do about that. So unfortunately, the video's got to wrap up right here. So hope you all enjoyed my 3-month overview of my M2 Competition. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell and browse around. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.